What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out March of the Valiant, Philippine Expeditionary Force to Korea full documentary. As always, I will leave a link down below to the original video. Please go over there, give it some love. I've been recommended this one quite a few times throughout the years, so this will be an interesting one to watch and see more history about the Philippines and their military and what they've been up to in the past. It's a relatively older documentary, but again, I've been recommended this quite a few times and been told that it's really good. So let's watch it, let's have some fun, and let's see what it's all about. Before we get started, thank you in the last video for everyone commenting about the whole mustache thing. I still don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to grow everything back out again, I think, because I just feel weird having a mustache. That's the way it is, guys. What else do I need to say before we get started? Channel sponsor, Chug. Check out Chug, 10% off, link down below. You're not going to get a better deal anywhere else. I'm telling you right now, these things are absolutely phenomenal. Free customization with the Morale logo. And it's absolutely fantastic. 10% off, link down below. You can't go wrong with it. Also, finally, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, 3 days. 3 days until the Kickstarter of Morale goes live. 3 days. All the links are down below to the Kickstarter, to all the social medias. Go and follow the Drink Morale Instagram and TikTok. That's where you're going to see the latest news. But still, 3 days. It happens on Wednesday. We'll be live on Wednesday. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. What else do I need to say? I think that is all I need to say for now. Let's pull this up and let's watch it, shall we? To the memory of the PEFTOK veterans and those who never came back, we dedicate this documentary to the future generations so that they may not forget the best, the truest, and the noblest Filipinos in the Korean War. Let's see what this is all about, shall we? I've heard there's a bit of music in it, so I need to be careful with the music, so I'll just be careful with that, okay? The National Historical Commission of the Philippines. Let's fucking go. June 25th, 1950. North Korean Communist Army stormed across the 38th parallel to invade South Korea. I'm going to turn it down and just narrate this before anyone starts talking on the video. 135,000 North Communists marched southward and captured Seoul, the South Korean capital, in just 2 days. Wow, I didn't know that. In just 2 days? Jesus. US sent forces to help defend South Korea. I don't think North Korea would ever do anything like that again. But were eventually overpowered and forced to temporarily retreat. That's insane that they made the US retreat as well, isn't it? Jesus. UN appeals to allied nations for reinforcement. That's crazy that the US had to retreat. Just goes to show how powerful they were. September 1950.
Immediately, the Philippine government, under the leadership of President Elpidio Quirino, offered to support.
Although at that time, you know, we still recovering from the damage of World War II.
Yeah.
We have to sacrifice to fulfill the commitment of our country to help a member nation in need.
And he says the price of freedom.
Wait. That just goes to show the integrity and honor of a country. They're still recovering after World War II. One of the most devastating war the world has ever seen. And yeah, they saw that an allied country was in need and went to help them. That is something else, isn't it?
Something that we fought for with our blood. And we were going to do it again.
Authorized under an act of Congress, Republic
Hell yeah.
Act 573, which was passed in early September 1950. It provided the legal authority for a total of 5 different Philippine Battalion Combat Teams, or PEFTOC battalions, to help defend the beleaguered South Koreans.
Holy, that music's really loud. I'm going to turn it down while the music's playing, just because it's too much. But this is a really cool intro. I wonder if this is actual footage of it all. It must be, right? It must be.
Sent 5 battalion combat teams to Korea with a total strength of 7,420 officers and men.
That's not that much.
The idea of President Torino, we volunteered. We were never forced.
I was young and we were trained, so we were prepared. No second thoughts.
And since we had all volunteered, we were a very happy bunch. In
Yeah, I
spite
bet.
of the fact that we anticipated hardships and deathly threats on the Korean front line.
Yeah, I bet. They need to sort the audio out on this video, unfortunately. As soon as the music comes up, it just blows up. So about 7,000, well, it's a decent chunk of people, actually. About 7,000 people went to help, which is very, very impressive. Let's turn it down while this music's playing because it's just too much in it. The president, these are all the people that helped make this documentary, I'm presuming. I'm excited to hear about this and what happened because I don't know much about when this war kicks off, if I'm honest with you. It's crazy to think how, like, westernized South Korea is now. Imagine if it was, like, invaded again by North Korea, which I don't think they would ever do it again. I really don't. Not at this point. South Korea is too strong at this point. I think they'd wipe the floor of North Korea. This must be all footage of it. War just absolutely tramples everything, doesn't it?
When you arrive at Korea, about 5/6 of South Korea was occupied by the North Koreans.
Wow.
Only 1/6 was occupied by the Allied forces then.
Jesus, that's insane, isn't
I
it?
arrived there in Busan. I saw Korea badly beaten, ruins.
Then the civilians were bringing their packs, moving. You could see movement all around, back and forth, because everybody didn't know where to go.
That's-
Children crying, and most of the children were very skinny.
All
And you think about how, like, well South Korea's bounced back from this. Like, Seoul apparently is absolutely stunning of a city. Like, they bounced back so quickly and they now have a thriving economy. It's crazy, isn't it, how quickly within one generation a nation can just bring it back from something as devastating as this.
tattered clothes, hungry, begging for food.
We
Oh.
sympathize with them because we already suffered the same consequences during World War II.
Yeah.
When the Japanese started bombing our areas.
We give them food. But I was saying, their parents will come rushing towards us also and begging for food.
The whole people there talagang they're starving.
That's
Very
really
sad
sad.
plight.
Very destructive ang communism. That's why we were expecting na talagang we are facing trouble.
Wow.
Then from there, we were transferred to Sariwon. Now that's the first time we noticed the cold. That was the coldest time during 100 years. It was about 15 degrees below zero.
Jesus. That is cold, isn't it? Christ almighty.
It was in 11 November when we started the first patrol between Mudong up to Shinji. I was leading the group because I was with the tanks. But the farther is there were 3 jeeps. Now we reinforce them. Then followed by 2 companies, the
Jeez.
Able and Baker companies. Then
So they didn't have a lot of people, but they also were not, like, insignificant. Like, if they had around 7,000 troops, like, you've got a decent force there. Like, you've got a decent amount of lads there, aren't you, that are going to get some stuff done. The reason I said at the beginning that's not that much is because I wonder how many the US sent and they ultimately retreated. Like, because that's pretty insane, isn't it? And then to send 7,000, like, it must have been a much greater number than what the US sent in the first place. But at the same time, let's see what these do.
we have to cross the hill, which was dividing the area between towns. We have to cross a bend. Now, in that bend, further, there was 45 area by the North Koreans. Example, this is a hill. There are 4 lines of trenches. So, when we were able to clear that area, they started firing at us.
Ah, Jesus.
It was so surprising that talagang everybody cannot move because I'm with the tank. Doon ko silalim. Sa tank, mayroong periscope. I tried to
Yeah.
look. Nakita ko, nobody was moving because talagang firing at that area. Pati yung tanke ko na pasobsob doon sa ano.
Oh, no.
Pinataas ko. Pagtaas ko, nakita ko yung mga North Korean troops. They were already talking of maybe attacking. Alam mo si soldier, the first thing is safety. And instead of defending yourself, you attack. That's your reaction. You have to kill to live. So lumabas ako sa tanke. Paglabas ko sa tanke, hindi there's a turret. There's a
Oh
machine
my
gun.
God. So he just started getting the rounds down on his own? Good lad. Good lad. Get them rounds down.
Sa ingay lang, ma-demoralize kayo. Ang lakas eh. Tuk-tuk-tuk-tuk-tuk. Ang ginawa, inumpisa kundugan yun. Nagtakbuhan. Yung nagtubat.
Wey.
Hanggang to the point na all of them were nailed down.
Wow.
At that time, yung mga tauhan namin nag-attack.
Wow, what a legend. Everyone was panicking and the lad just got the rounds down. Let's go.
Dami na, tumatira sa akin. Wala nakatama. Maybe it was God sent fortune. Ano?
Yeah.
And after that, nung nahupa niya about mga 30 minutes, there were about 42 dead at saka about
Wow.
100 wounded. Ngayon, bumaba yung Amerikano, kinakongratulate ako.
Amazing.
Then after that, we proceeded to Shinji.
Wow. The US came up with like, good job, mate. Got the fucking rounds down.
Battle of Myeongdong. Winter had already set in. The problem was that their uniforms that were issued to them earlier were not sufficient. Colonel Soren, and here's his leadership. Sabi na, until such time that you give us this necessary equipment to fight the enemy,
Yeah.
we will not move. Well, he was relieved and Colonel Ojeda took over. It was a very sad thing.
Jeez. Yeah, if you haven't got the gear,
Pagkatapos niya,
can fail.
April na, pumunta kami sa farther north. Now, there was a report that they are going to attack the UN troops. Yun doon naman sa Yuldong.
Just then, the Chinese and the Koreans were inaugurating the first phase of what they called Chinese Spring Offensive.
interesting. Okay. The Chinese Spring Offensive. So obviously we're heading on into the spring here. I wonder if it does start warming up, but the sounds of it sounds a very bleak terrain with absolutely dreadful dreadful equipment to maintain themselves, which is not ideal, is it?
Ang nangyari sa Yuldong, ang 10 city nandito,
To the right of the Bay City were the Turks, and to the left of them were the Puerto Ricans. There were now imminent signs that they were being attacked by the communists in mass. What the Chinese did was they massed their forces in the center, penetration,
dito nang atake sa atin.
and then less strong forces on the side. There were Chinese who were able to penetrate the ranks of the Turks.
The Turkish, iniwan yung pwesto.
Similarly, the Puerto Ricans on the left also did the same. They gave way.
Kaya
Interesting.
nakapasok sila dito sa amin, na-encircle kami.
Wow.
Basically holding onto their line.
Oh my God.
Using the bayonet, hand to hand. Use of hand grenades and so on and so forth. Kulang lang siguro, duraan na lang.
Jesus Christ.
According to Voltaire, God is always on the side of the greater battalion. How can you face you're only 700 when the Koreans and the Chinese had about 700,000?
What? There's no way. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Really, we were able to hold on.
700 to 700,000? There's no way. There's no way that they had 700 lads against 700,000. That's insane if that's the real numbers.
According to the testimony of the defenders, piles of dead were there. Piles of
Ugh.
Doon yung namatay yung si Captain Yak at saka si Lieutenant Artiaga, yung dalawang yung hero.
Wow. That's really sad. True heroes. Do you know when you see officers really put, like, there's a lot of stick that officers get, but when they go on to the side and actually put their life on the line, then they deserve that respect, don't they?
was assigned as the reconnaissance platoon leader of the reconnaissance company.
Nice.
20th Battalion Combat Team PEFTOC, then under Colonel Salvador Absede. Being volunteers, we were rushed to the front lines in Korea.
This guy was quite high ranking then, wasn't he?
We took a railroad that took us to north of Seoul, the capital of South Korea, and passed beyond the 38th parallel, where the rear echelon of the 20th Battalion Combat Team, PEFTOC,
Okay.
was stationed. And after spending overnight there, we were taken to our frontline positions, north of the 38th parallel, in the vicinity of the city of Chorwon, which is already part of North Korea.
Whoa. So they went into the enemy territory.
Day, our battalion decided that it is now or never. And I was picked by the battalion commander to lead the assault. And this is how
That's some big duty right there. If you get picked to lead the assault, my God.
myself got into the big battle for Hill Erie. And I was assigned to do this with my platoon of about 40-45 men. We started the approach to the enemy fortifications at about maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. And in May, in North Korea, 4 in the morning is still very dark and very cold.
Yeah.
When we got to no man's land, after a truck ride of about 30 minutes, we had to creep and crawl.
Doesn't sound like ideal conditions, does it, to be honest with you?
Most of that period within no man's land, we had to prod with our bayonets on whether there are mines planted
Oh.
wires in the rice fields. It was very dangerous.
Yeah, no shit, it's very dangerous, mate. Yeah, let me just, if you just put your bayonet in front of you, you might be able to figure out if there's a landmine or a tripwire or something there. It may go off, but hey, you'll at least you'll know it's there.
After about 2 hours of creeping and crawling, we saw really more clearly the enemy fortifications, which were our targets. We informed headquarters that we're here already in the assault line, we called it, ready to jump off towards the hill, but give us first the preparatory fires that we had planned. And these were from the fighter planes of the supporting American forces that dropped napalm bombs.
Oh my
in the
God.
target area.
Jesus. Can you imagine being in this situation? Like, we're watching stuff about Ukraine right now, and it's all very much trench warfare and stuff, but like a different setting like this where the weapons are a bit more primitive and the missiles and everything are a bit more primitive. Comms, communications just isn't as effective. It just goes to show how like brutalistic this type of war could be back then. And I feel like the caliber of person to charge into battle with this amount of equipment, it takes something, doesn't it? It really does.
In the meantime, we were advancing up the hill. But when the napalm bombs were falling too closely to us and endangered our troops, I called headquarters to cease fire on that and then bring in the artillery.
This guy's got some charisma, hasn't
Which was behind us, and with the forward observer, Lieutenant Cosme Acosta. He did a good job of bringing in our artillery to bear upon the target area. And we continued advancing upward. When we were too close to the enemy positions, we called for ceasefire of the artillery, but we asked for tank direct fire.
This guy loves it, doesn't he? He absolutely loves it.
From our supporting forces in the back. And so the tanks being able to fire directly at the target, almost in a straight line, started firing.
I bet this guy's medaled up to the nines in it, but he's got so many friggin' medals and honors and awards and all sorts of stuff, hasn't he?
As the tanks were firing,
I mean, look at his hat.
it was
Jesus.
to very near the top of the enemy fortifications. And when it was time to do it, I said, "If the tank fires, we're going to attack."
This footage is really good as well. Obviously, some of it's more like a recreation by the looks of it. But the footage is really good to set the tone of this documentary. It's pretty impressive.
We identified the bunkers and the foxholes of the enemy one by one. And we attacked them with rifle fire, with bayonets, and in some cases with demolitions.
If you're ever in a war and you get told to attach bayonets, you know shit's about to go down.
The hand-to-hand combat lasted for about 30 to 45 minutes until I determined
Jesus.
that the enemy resistance had died down. And I started accounting for my men, and I found out that they were all present, accounted for, except for one or two
Wow.
that were wounded. I was very proud of the fact that we accomplished our mission.
Wow.
Well, of course, personally, I was very thankful to the good Lord for saving the troops.
Jesus. So what from there then?
19th BCT came in.
Appreciate with the turnover from the 20th BCD, turnover to us.
My dad was fascinated by flying, first of all. Now, that was his hobby. And when he saw that many soldiers were being sent to the front, he came to my grandfather, then President Quirino, and said, "Papa, I want to go to war." And my grandfather looked at him and says, "Well, if you go to war, then my son has to go with you."
Jesus.
When Lolo told me that I had to serve in the Korean War, of course I feared. I feared for my life. I didn't want my children to be fatherless.
Yeah.
That's my greatest fear. But the love for my father and my sense of duty to him as his son overtook any fears that I had. And so I said, "Yes, Papa, I will do it."
Whoa. Look at this montage of them getting the gear on and cracking on.
So that was the story of how both First Lieutenant Tomas Quirino and Luis Chito Gonzalez joined the war.
Was just like Quirino to send his only son at that time and his only son-in-law to the war. Because when he said
Jeez.
the Philippines goes to war, he'll send his own family first.
I tell you what, how many leaders in today's world can you say would do that? How many leaders would you say would do that? I don't think Keir Starmer would. I don't think Trump would. They wouldn't send their own kids to war. These leaders we've got in the UK and the US, I don't think they'd send their kid to war, personally. Take some balls to do that. Send your own family into war. Jesus.
Luis Rosales, yung asawa ni Bambiti, Quirino, pilot na akong TEPCO din eh. Asawa namin.
He was a spotter pilot. He would go on this small plane at very high altitude and look for the enemy and relay the information back to the base so that they could either fire artillery or have other planes with armament go there because his plane had no armament at all.
Dad was assigned to desk duties in the beginning.
Signal siya eh. He makes sure that all communication to the line to everyone has to be connected. That be properly connected, can be contacted anytime. Because you don't go to combat without communication. Signal is very important.
Because at this time he was married to the first lady of the Philippines, my mother, no? So siguro they wanted to give him some type of preferential treatment and he didn't like that at all. So he wrote to them and he said for them to please give him combat missions.
My mother even said to me that your father, quote unquote, would do anything to measure up in the eyes of his father in the sense of esteem and respect. So he kept telling their officer, I want to see action. I want to see action.
Jeez.
10th of June, we were shipped to Line Jamestown. And that's about 3 miles long stretch of defense of the United States forces. And in 5 days, we were sent to the T-Bone Hills, that is Hill 191, and hit Erie towards the stem of the bowl where the 1 regiment of Chinese are there. And we had a 4 days battle with the combination.
4-day battle? 4 days? My God. That's insane, isn't it? 4 days of battle.
Terrible. You can just imagine artillery bomb dropping just in front of you, a few yards away, and then during the height of battle. If this is the hill that we occupied, the enemy was already crawling up. And our firearms, hindi na sila puputok. Barado na, ano? My company commander was requesting for fire in position. Ibig sabihin, dito sa lugar namin, bombahin nila. At my battalion commander didn't approve it. Dito rin, pinabagsak pa yung
Jeez.
end of the battle, after 4 days, there was a recording from the 45th Division that no less than 500 enemy Chinese cavalry were killed by our artillery alone.
Holy shit.
Aside from those who we encountered, yung umakyat sa aming hill, na napatay namin doon na marami. They suffered a lot.
These guys legitimately absolutely got the rounds down, didn't they? Like, that's insane. What an achievement. It's almost like they were unstoppable.
We were about to leave, to be relieved by the 14th BGD. And 3 days before, we sent a patrol between our line and the enemy. The squad leader told me, Sarge, iwanan ko muna sa iyo yung pera ko, ha? Baka mamaya kung ano mangyari sa akin doon. Na-capture siya. You know, that sergeant there is from Manila City.
Jesus.
And I was personally responsible in bringing him there to my unit. So, I grieved so much about it.
Well, that's their fortune. Alam mo, pati sa akin, it's just luck eh. I never thought with people, how many thousands there firing at me, hindi ako tinaman. It's a question of luck eh.
Is it a question of luck? A lot of people don't realize how skillful your intuition can be when it comes to battle. A lot of it, yeah, just not getting hit could be luck. A lot of it could be just a really good baseline of intuition. Like he was just a naturally very good soldier and he won't ever be able to understand how good he actually was. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that intuition is what saves lives.
Tawagin natin silang marangal, matatag, bayani, masigasig na mga Pilipino.
My mother was totally worried. She kept writing to my father, "Come home soon. I miss you, sweetheart." She would apologize. "I am so sorry to keep bothering you, but I haven't heard from you all this time."
And the stories of my mom, on the other hand, she showed me some of the love letters of Dad to her. He was pretty romantic. He said he missed the family, he wanted to be home. It must have been quite challenging for him.
I remember him saying it was the worst time of my life. It was freezing. We were freezing. The biggest enemy that they had was the weather, actually, and homesick.
Yeah.
Dad never left behind any memoirs, but he did send letters to my mom telling her that finally he got his wish and that he's pretty happy that he came home alive from the experience.
I was initially assigned to the 7th Battalion Combat Team of Colonel Napoleon de Valeriano of the Ninita Unit. Then, after about a year, I was given orders to join the 14th BCT.
Wow.
When we left, the President Quirino sent us off. He was at the pier.
And he told them, just before they left for Korea, and I will quote, I sent ahead of you my only son and my son-in-law to offer their blood in the defense of democracy. Thus, my pride will be that with my own flesh and blood, I shall have participated in your coming struggle and victory for the honor and prestige of our country.
Jesus, what a quote. Again, how many leaders in today's world do you reckon would send their own sons to war? I don't think I can think of any that would do it. And that just shows the caliber of the caliber of a leader that this president was. Wow.
We relieved the 19 at Pike Saxon under the chestnut orchard. And then we were moved to Christmas Hill. That was our last battle. We replaced an American battalion who suffered a lot of casualties. So almost wipe out the one battalion of the 45th Division. To replace them, we have to climb up the hills. And then when we went up that hill, sometimes you vomit the smell of place decaying. Nung dadaanan mo, mga patay, minsan 5 level yung patong.
Jesus.
You get used to it.
You get used to it.
We captured the Christmas Hill. Then the Chinese attempted several times to recover the hill.
To no avail, I'm sure.
They throw in battalions after battalions to try to inflict as much casualties. They throw in practically everything. Parang ubusin na yung bala. It's like New Year.
I love how these guys talking about it are all like smiles and full of morale.
When you fight back in that war, you have everything you need. Artillery fire support, tank support, aircraft. You can ask for any fire support.
Jeez. My God. This music's too much, though. They need to chill with the music, don't they? Let's be honest.
We held on to the Christmas Hill up to the time the truce was implemented. Took effect 10 in the evening, ceasefire na yun. Well, silent, and then everybody was out. Thinking
Jeez.
about going home, and then be thankful to that you are alive and kicking, so it makes you feel good.
He's like super cheerful, isn't he? Wow. Could you imagine the scenes after defending that?
When I went to Korea, there was already a truce, but everything was still on a war footing. There was the main battle position, the demarcation line between the two Koreas, which both sides guarded. The North Koreans guarded the north side, we did the south side. On the lines, your duty there would be to look through binoculars and you monitor the movement of the enemy on the other side. When the armed forces decided that there was no longer need for the BCT in Korea, the orders were for the BCT to come home. But on the last minute, they said a contingent of 1 officer and 10 enlisted men must stay behind, and I was the one chosen. So because of that, while the rest of the battalion went home, I was there for another additional 1 month and a half.
So you got pinged for a shit duty, really? He's probably like, all my mates are going home. God damn it, I want to go home.
Our contingent was myself, only 1 officer and 10 enlisted men.
Wow.
And we spent the last day more or less turning on equipment, so we were in fatigues and we were not really in very clean state.
Yeah, but...
While we were waiting for our plane to Tokyo, all of a sudden, here was a major with all of the guy ropes asking, where's the officer of the departing Philippine contingent? I said, I'm the officer. I said, can you get your men ready? Because there are 3 generals who are coming to see you off.
Wow.
To send off, a second lieutenant and 10 enlisted men. They came with stars and stripes coverage. And
Jeez.
that, I think, shows more or less the spirit of democracy.
It shows the respect as well, the obvious respect of achievement
that prevailed in that UN organization, where notwithstanding your nationality, notwithstanding your rank,
Yeah.
as a group, you are considered a Philippine contingent and therefore entitled to the honors of arrival or send-off.
Hell yeah. That's nice. That's real nice. Jeez. 10 Battalion Combat Team, PFT, okay. Jeez. Absolute legends.
But then my spirit of patriotism was really enhanced.
Yeah, I bet.
What an experience to be fighting like that. It is something that I can be proud of, that my family can be proud of.
Being part of PEFTOC was one of Daddy's favorite episodes of his life. When
I
he was
bet.
diagnosed with cancer, the last trip he took was to Korea. He wanted to go back to the 38th parallel to Panmunjom, just to go back and rekindle those memories.
Wow.
That told me a lot about what he felt about being in the Korean War.
Yung kabayanihan, kagitingan, at katapangan ng mga Pilipino na sumabak sa Korea.
Absolute legends.
Yan ang alaala.
It is a moment of remembrance, but it is also a moment of extreme pride that our fathers and my grandfather saw it fit to be part of the democratic principles of freedom, that we did what it took.
Look at that medals.
Our cherished democracy.
Hell yeah.
All the soldiers that fought hand in hand, side by side, heroes of the PEFTOC, I salute you all. May the youth, like we do now, and hopefully generations to come, may they never forget the freedoms that were purchased with your blood and your sacrifice.
What a motivational video. Jesus Christ. Legendary.
It's the lesson of World War II and the Korean War, and the Vietnam War also after the Korean War, to all of us. And some of us not only suffered from all of this, but some old warriors like were there. But we were happy to do our little humble participation in all of that.
What a documentary. Jesus. The rest of it's just credits to the makers of that documentary. What? I didn't expect such a like uplifting motivational video. You know, I expected it to be quite I mean, to some extent, yeah, there is sad parts in there, but what an impressive feat. Absolutely unbelievable. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I will leave a link down below to the original video. Please go over there, give it some love. Give it a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out Chug, 10% off, link down below. And 3 days from now, 3 days, Morale will be live on Kickstarter. I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.